Welcome to Journey to Queendom, the sacred space where survival ends and sovereignty begins. I'm your host, Marci J. Duncan, and this is where we lay down the cape of overachievement, code switching, and self doubt, and we pick up the crown of softness, wholeness, and authenticity. And now, part two. It was these narratives, these oaths, these coping mechanisms that were in play in my life, and they were popping up and misfiring in all of these places in my life, right? I started to see for the first time I am not transparent in this relationship. He doesn't know a lot. And it's not because he hasn't been trying, it's because I have been unwilling. Honey, that man didn't know how much I weighed. He didn't know my um, student loan debt. He didn't know I had a little account. He didn't know what that account was or what was in the account. And it wasn't like I was trying to be secretive or I was trying to hide things because that wasn't it. It was just, it wasn't in me to be transparent because that's vulnerability, right? That's intimacy. It wasn't in me to be completely honest about a situation if that meant I had to admit that I made a mistake. And of course, with this new baby, I started to grapple with all of these things all at once. And postpartum had a lot to do with it. It really did, making me feel these things more intently, you know, more powerfully. So I didn't know what to do with all of the things that were coming up and all of the things that I was seeing about myself. So I started shutting down and shutting him out. There were times when, he would just look at me like, I don't know how to make you happy. And I was just angry. I was angry, you know, angry because I knew I knew that there was something wrong, but I didn't want to admit that there was something wrong. I wanted him to be at fault. I didn't want me to be at fault. I wanted to be the one to win at being a wife, to win at being a mom, because I won at being a single mom. That was my identity. That was who I was. That's how I maintain control, maintain my sanity, because these things I can control and I can do well. These are the things that I want. This is what I want. And all of these things started to crumble. They started to crumble. And I was suffering and I was coming to the end of myself, but I had no way to reach out and say, help me. So I went back. I went back to therapy and I doubled down in therapy. And I started to really talk about some of the things that I was really thinking. And I was transparent with her, very transparent with her in all of the ways in which, I was suffering inside of my mind and inside of my heart. And we were able to make some connections. And through trauma therapy, she helped me to reframe some of those belief systems that had been in play in my life. So, a part of that unlearning was to figure out what it is I actually believe to be true. And a lot of it was pretty horrible to say out loud to another human person. It was pretty embarrassing because I'm intelligent, I'm a grown woman, I know these things are abnormal, but I'm at the point I'm desperate. I need to figure this out and I need help. I want help because I want to change and I'm desperate. So I'm going to say it. I have to tell her. I have to. And, she would ask me, have you ever had these conversations with your husband? I'm like, no, I can't. I feel like I can't do it. Like I'm unable to do it. And so she helped me to be able to get the words to communicate, to learn how to communicate, to identify what was making me so afraid, and then identify the truth of the situation, and to compare the fear to the actual truth of the situation in order to take some of the power away from the fear that was causing me to clam up, to shut out, to isolate. And that was really useful for me, really useful for me. I started this intense journey in 2023, May of 2023. By December 2023, I started to feel things that I have not felt before, like wanting to be vulnerable, wanting to admit and say to my husband what it is that I need, what it is that I want, wanting to be connected to him, wanting to share what was on the inside of me. I had never felt these things before, and I was finally having sensations in my body. They were foreign, but they felt like home. It felt right. It felt like it belonged inside of me and it needed to come out. And so a part of the trauma therapy that we did was to put side by side those fear statements and the truth statements. And some of mine, I'll share with you guys. This is the actual therapy progression notes, and she copied it for me so that I could have it. But some of the affirmations, forgive my son, he's having the time of his life, okay? Some of the affirmations were, um, I am trustworthy. I can be vulnerable with safe people. I am able to let go of things that do not serve me. People can help me as I help myself. I am able to ask for help and relinquish control to God. I can become like a baby and allow God to take care of me. I can do hard things because God protects me, because God is here with me. And I would say these things over and over and over again. And then I started writing some of my own as it pertains specifically to intimacy and um, vulnerability and reprogramming my brain and how I thought about even sex, not being a transactional act, but actually an act of care, an act of love, an act of um, compassion and passion, right? These things I had to reteach my brain to think about it in a different way, that pleasure is good, that desire is good, that initiation is wonderful, because all of these things had been tainted in my brain. And for the first time, I am having thoughts and sensations where I want to smile, I want to flirt, I want to frolic, I want to dilly dally. I want to slow down. I want to be extra. I want to get dressed up. I want to adorn myself and fragrance and beautiful things. Like these sensations were so new to me. It was like the things that had been stolen from me, they were returning to me. They were returning to me, and not only returning to me, but returning to me in a way that was holy and sacred and special. And for the first time, I was feeling worthy to have it, to feel it, to give it, to desire it, to long for it. I finally was feeling worthy. And friends, I cannot tell you the exhilaration I experienced when I rediscovered vulnerability and intimacy and transparency. I didn't know. I didn't know that I would be so light. Fear had me weighed down for so long that I clammed up. I pulled back. I shut down. I did it alone. But now I am open. I am excited. I anticipate without dread. And this is the gift that I didn't even know I needed. As I began to make space in my brain and in my heart with the therapy, the very intentional work, and also amping up my spiritual walk because I felt like God answered my prayers. I was praying, God, I want to do this. I want to desire this. I want to feel this. I want to not feel so heavy. I want to be free. And I'm being careful with my words because this is my life. This is my life. And I want to protect parts of that sacredness, but I'm sure you can understand what I'm saying. I begged God to help me because I knew that something wasn't right. I knew that my past trauma had taken some things from me and I wanted them back. And God answered my prayers. I hope this has been helpful to you. I want us to think about some things while we are separated from each other. Next week, I want to hear about you. I want to hear about what you're hiding. How are you hiding in your relationships? How are you hiding in your relationships? What does true intimacy mean to you? And how can you be more honest about your needs and your desires? The meditation for this week is I am worthy of being seen, known, and loved just as I am. That is the best gift I can give to this world, to my husband, to my children, to my family. And that is me authentically. I'll see you next time. Thank you for walking this stretch of the journey with me. If something in today's episode stirred your spirit, share this episode with a sister. Leave a review or connect with me on social media. Remember, your softness is sacred. Your healing is your birthright. And your queendom, it's already within you. Until next time, keep rising and claim your inheritance. This podcast was brought to you by Artist at Play, nurturing the artist within.